and we went to see his show. We saw Tom Jones's show on the Friday, and we went to see him afterwards then and had a drink with him and stuff in his sort of dressing room. And he said, well, we're gonna go out to have a meal now. Do you want to join us? You know, going out for dinner with Tom Jones in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But we had to say no because we were getting up the next morning at 5:30 to shoot this video. And we had like 3 hours sleep because of the jet lag. So I had to go, oh, I'd love to, but I can't. So I thought, well, you know, because he's coming over again, you see, to sing it with us on Comic Relief on Friday, and we're doing it on Let's Dance on BBC One on Saturday. So I thought to myself, well, you know, I may get another chance. Well, he's only gone and invited us out to dinner on Thursday night, and I'm on tour in Glasgow. So I've twice had to say, no, you're all right, Tom, you go ahead, I'll be fine.
I've got more important things in the diary than dinner with Tom Jones.
So it's not annoying that I'm going to be playing in Glasgow. That's a delight beyond human comprehension. But it's a little bit annoying that once again I'm not going to get to go out to dinner.
He's one of your heroes, isn't he, Tom?
Oh yeah. I think it's compulsory if you're Welsh, basically. But yeah, I've always liked him. I mean, quite seriously, they couldn't. It's a real kind of Jim will fix it thing for me to have done this. You know, just to have a record. You know. Generally, you know, to be able to go onto iTunes and see that you've got a record, and we put other stuff on there. There's also Bryn singing "The Wise Men" by James Blunt, which is something you do a little bit of in the show, and there's sort of a fuller version of it. And you can also hear Ruth and I, Bryn and Nessa, singing "Something Stupid," which we also do in the show. So if you're a Gavin and Stacey fan, and you get the DVD in there as well. In fact, if you buy the DVD separately, you get the videos, I'm saying, and if you buy the DVD separately, you also get all this behind-the-scenes footage from Las Vegas, which shows me doing my Tom Jones impression to Tom Jones, and him being the utter professional and smiling and laughing so as not to embarrass me.
Without wishing to put you on the spot, what you just your impression of Tom is essentially noises, isn't it?
Yes, it's basically grunting. It's a kind of Neanderthal. It's like a Neanderthal man struggling to grasp the power of speech.
You wouldn't want to give us a flavour?
Well, it's basically, it's basically this, with a lot of, coughing in between other words. And then I put some brass on it, and it shot up the charts, That was in 1934.
Oh, it sounds dynamite. And obviously the money from the song goes to Comic Relief, and you're up against the Saturdays.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? You'd think so.
Really?
We've been very lucky in this instance. For the first time, we will share the profits. I say Tom has donated his and Ruth has donated his, but I felt, given that I had taken a big chunk of time to go to Las Vegas, it was only right that I be financially... Now, Steve, let me say, I'm joking, of course. You understand my crazy knockabout sense of humour, but some of your listeners might not, and they might think that I'm being serious. Of course I'm not.
A lot of listeners you're saying, you're implying, are simpletons, and how right you are once again. How's that going? Can people still see you on tour?
Yeah, I've only done, I'm 10 shows in. I was in Harrogate last night. It's a nice town. I was in York the night before. I think my favourite two so far have been York and Nottingham. Don't know why.
And if people come along to see you, what would they expect? A kind of Bill Hicks-esque attack on the current economic situation?
Yeah, that's what you get with Rob Brydon. I mean, people know if there's an edge, I will be out there on it. They come expecting scatological language, and they get it. They come expecting foul-mouthed routine. They come expecting a man who's kind of got a kind of political agenda.
Sure.
And I have. They get all that. They also get a middle-aged duffer wittering on, doing impressions of Ronnie Corbett. That's basically what you get, spread out over 90 minutes.
Oh, God bless you. And finally, now, Comic Relief, you'll be performing live. Is it a big thrill for you to be involved with Comic Relief? I remember when we were first asked to be involved. It was nice. It sort of feels like it's sort of you're part of comedy royalty if you get to be on there.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I mean, I remember the Young Ones with Cliff Richard being a fantastic single. That's my sort of Comic Relief single that I remember. And I remember Tom Jones, in fact, doing a thing with Lenny Henry one year where the two of them were sort of singing next to each other to see who could have the most sort of pants thrown at or something.
Theophilus G. Wildebeest, surely. It was Lenny's one of those.
Yes, it was Lenny as Theophilus P. Wildebeest, yes. And, oh yeah, I mean, it's great. I did a little Marion and Jeff film years and years ago for Comic Relief that got played on the night, and then I also did some Keith Barrett live, which was not a great success, it has to be said, because I went out on stage just after they'd shown one of the kind of tear-jerking, heartbreaking videos.
Sure.
And they'd shown that, and I think people were in floods of tears. And then I stepped out from behind the screen going, "Hello, I'm going to make jokes about divorce." And that was a tough gig. But, no, this is the biggest thing, that I've ever done.
Do you, Rob, like me, maybe just use your Sky Plus facility, pause it, give it, say, 15 minutes before Comic Relief starts, and then you can fast forward through a lot of the appeals?
Yeah. Well, I admire your honesty. This is something that the listeners have come to expect from you. Even when it doesn't show you in a flattering light, you are happy to lay your soul bare. That's exactly the technique that I employ, not just for this, but for almost all television now.
No secrets, Rob. No secrets.
There can't be secrets. Wasn't it Carly Simon who said, "We have no secrets. We tell each other everything"?
Talking of super hit musical references, let's play your Comic Relief tune. We'll play that for people. And even if they don't like it, Rob, they should buy it anyway, so that a portion will go to Comic Relief, which is surely a good thing.
The important thing, really, and I'm sure people, I don't want to get all heavy on this, but the really important thing is that I get a #1 single. If this peaks at #2, I'm going to be so hacked off. You won't believe it. I want to be able to say I've had a #1 single. And if we can raise some money for charity, yeah, that's fine. But give me a #1 single. That is what I want.
When you're watching the show on Friday, remember the true meaning of Comic Relief. It's all about raising your profile if you're a comic, and in Rob's case, getting a #1 tune. Thanks, Rob, for coming on. I really appreciate it. We'll play the tune now.
Lovely to speak to you, as always.
And you, absolute pleasure, my friend. Tom Jones, Rob Brydon, Ruth Jones, Islands in the Stream, all donations to Comic Relief if you download the tune, and it would be wonderful to be able to get Rob on the phone next week, a la Bruno Brooks, and give him the good news about a #1 single. So if you can help that, then we would appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. It's an absolutely cracking tune, that. If it was the Bruno Brooks Breakfast Show, it would be Single of the Week.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? Or Tune of the Week. And there we are. Morrissey, when I last spoke to Carol from his new album, Years of Refusal. Absolute dynamo tune. Steve Merchant here with Sammy, who works in a milkshake shop, and Harry, who may no longer have a job. Oh. And we're talking about Comic Relief, obviously. And now, Carol, we went to school together.
Yeah.
Do you remember this incident in my young life? It was Comic Relief, it was coming up. Now, I was always very excited about Comic Relief, always looked forward to it, very pleased. And I remember the teacher, or the headmaster or someone saying, now, on Friday, it's Comic Relief Day, right, you have to pay £1 if you don't come in fancy dress.
Okay.
Right? So I'm terribly excited about this because, I love the idea of dressing up, in a comedy way. Perfect. Raise money. Brilliant. So I can't believe my luck. And then I seem to remember, I think I was off school a couple of days. And I was desperate. I was thinking, please get well, because I want to go in dressed up on Comic Relief Day. Go into school, Comic Relief Day, dressed as a clown. I don't be honest with you, I've got the shoes, the big shoes, that's just my regular shoes, obviously, painted red. And, the red nose, the whole thing, clown outfit, right? Go into school, one other person. Everyone else in regular school outfit. It turns out that in the time I was away, they discovered they weren't allowed to demand everyone pay £1 for Comic Relief, obviously being a school. And in fact, not only that, they turned the tables. You had to pay £1 if you wanted to come in fancy dress. So I remember just being sat around in class all day. I remember being in history and, just having to talk about Marxism or whatever in any given capitalist environment, proletariat, take your red nose off, Steve.
Yeah.
It was, and I just remember being sort of humiliated and embarrassed, and subsequently I didn't raise money I didn't do any sort of sponsored stuff or anything after that. I had my fingers burned.
Yeah.
And, once again, I don't know who's to blame. Is it Comic Relief? Is it you?
It's possibly me, but, of course, Comic Relief when you're at school, it's the one day a year that kind of justified your wackiness.
My wackiness?
Yeah, because, of course, every other day of the year it was mildly frustrating.
Of course, interminable.
Goofing off again today.
Yeah.
But you could, of course, get away with it on Comic Relief Day.
Do you not remember that incident? You don't remember me dressed as a clown?
Not really, no.
I wonder if there's pictures anywhere.
There must be.
Great days. I always preferred Relief to Need. Children Need.
I prefer Relief.
Because Relief, at least, I felt like there was some absolute top quality TV. Some great classic sketches as we remember. But Need, never knew what that was. No. Really, that was sort of seemed to go on forever. I've always thought of it, I've said in the past, I've always thought of it, it seemed like a big school fete on telly. Do you know what I mean? It was slightly lame, the teachers doing some sketches, you know, there may as well have been, you know, guess how many coins are in this jar, and sort of a big barrel full of sawdust and some tiny gifts, you know, and Wogan can just rummage around in there, and maybe at some point coming up after this Children Need song, we'll have a look round a fire engine. It was just...
Oh, a slow bicycle race.
A slow bicycle race?
Have you ever had one of those?
Is that how you raise money?
Yeah, you basically, the last person to cross the line, so you've got people just falling off bikes and injuring themselves. Wonderful fun.
Now, you joined my school later. Do you remember when we, one time I remember at the school fete, it was pay £1 and you could have a ride in a Sinclair C5. The future.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, and I think my dad didn't want me to even get a spring for that. It was crazy money. But I think Sir Clive Sinclair may have been there, actually. I think he may well have brought it down himself.
Even at that tender age, surely you wouldn't have squeezed into a C5.
Into a C5. But are you a big fundraiser? Sam, you seem the sort of person who would always be up raising money, sitting beans.
I just need an excuse. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't even have to care about the cause that much. I just love an excuse to do something daft, because it's not that acceptable any other day, and I still do it anyway. So for one day of the year I get to fit in, and I'm doing something for a good cause.
What have you done in the past that you can tell us about?
Sponsored silencers, wearing strange outfits, jelly, that sort of thing.
Jelly?
Just jelly.
You're not going to elaborate on that, just jelly?
Just jelly. I used to bake well, actually that's a lie. I used to buy pre-made fairy cakes and put my own icing on them, pretend I'd made them, everyone thought they were delicious.
Nice.
Yeah.
Real nice. Her?
Yeah, well, working in a bank, I have, you know, quite a close relationship with money. When it comes to doing stuff, you know, chucking your loose change in, I've got a big jar at home, and I put all my loose change in that, and then at the end of the year, I'll go to the bank, cash it up, and just put it in my savings account.
Right.
That's
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I was asking about charity, though, specifically.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, I'm not even sure I'm popular enough to ask people for money,
no,
so I generally don't bother.
Fair enough. You are a big fan of the band Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
You love Phoenix. If you pay me £1 for Comic Relief, I'll play you the new tune.
Yeah, Sam, you got a £1.
French band Phoenix and the tune 1901, which is currently available as a free download prior to the release of the official first single from their new album, which will be released in May and will be called Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix. So look forward to that. Now then, I promised earlier that we would talk to someone who for many years was the BBC's economics editor, then now is a presenter on Radio 4's Today programme, and also of course known on TV as the host of Dragon's Den, and is also involved with Comic Relief and a project which is particularly of interest to me. Please welcome Evan Davis. Is on the line.
Afternoon, Stephen. Good afternoon.
Evan, it's an absolute honour to have someone with such credentials and dignity to come onto our show and finally
Honour to be on your show. An honour to be on your show, believe me.
Now, there's so many things I would like to ask you about, but chiefly let's start with what you are doing for Comic Relief, because as I say, very interesting to me. Would you explain for people what you've been up to?
Yeah, so what four of us did, Radio 4 presenters, this is Radio 4's big contribution. Radio 4 doesn't normally do very much for Comic Relief. It's not that sort of place. But this
Radio 4 hates Africa, we all know.
But this year it decided to make a contribution. So it got four of us who present on Radio 4 to, under the tutorship of professional comedians, to become stand-up comedians. And so, you know, they tracked it through a couple of documentaries, and the culmination of our training program was that we had to actually go and perform at a Hackney Comedy Cafe and in front of a proper audience, and, you know, do at least a 5-minute act.
Now, is this something which you've ever given any thought to before?
No. I enjoy going to comedy at places like that Comedy Cafe, but I must say I've often thought about it actually, and what a sort of skill it is, and what an interesting thing it is. But I've never even thought remotely I would do it. I mean, I can give a good talk on economics, and I can give a good talk with a light touch, you know, a little quip here, an amusing aside there, you know. I mean, and people by the standards of these sort of economics talks will think that was a very good talk, or that was very amusing. What an amusing speaker on economics. But the idea